Yo, buddy, the spoiler talk is here. I am Prithmi and welcome to the channel, guys, and today we'll be discussing Avengers Endgame spoiler talk. This will be spoiler analysis of the film. If you have not watched Avengers Endgame, what are you doing? It's the biggest talk around the world. Go and see it. Go enjoy it with your friends and whatnot. I do not want to spoil anything for you. This is a spoiler talk. I will warn you again. There are spoilers. I am spoiling the film. So please, if you haven't seen it, click off this video. Or if you don't want it to be spoiled for you here, you can watch my movie review, which is a non-spoilered review, which I put up a couple of days ago. So if you have not seen it, please leave for the third time. So without further ado, I'll give you a countdown as well. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's talk spoilers. Let's talk about Hawkeye, because I think this character has been a real revelation within the MCU, and I think the filmmakers this time round, I think they got him right perfectly, because they stopped him from being the guy who's kind of cool and with his personality that he likes people other than himself. He's not a douchebag and he has a family and he admires that. They create a lot more empathy with his character, you know, with him losing his family and then giving him this character arc where he's lost everything, and in doing so, he's also lost a part of himself. He's lost a part of his humanity. You know, that's why we then see him end up in Tokyo and he's killing all these mafia bosses and gangsters. And I loved what they done with that character, and I thought it was really cool. And with Avengers Endgame, you get a lot of people that are saying, "Oh man, I cried 5 times. Oh man, this really got to me." And I was just thinking to myself, at what moment am I gonna break? You know, because I always knew there was going to be a moment that was going to inevitably catch me off guard, because, you know, these are people that are great at what they do. These are great filmmakers. And the very first scene happens, and it's the Hawkeye teaching his daughter how to, doing the bow and arrow. And when she hits the bullseye, he says, "Good job, Hawkeye." I don't know what it was at that point, because I knew it was coming, I knew specifically when he had turned to go to the picnic, and then he was gonna go back to his daughter, that she would be gone. I knew, because I've studied directing and cinematography. I knew the moment he was going to turn around, there was nothing going to be there, just little fragments of dust just crumbling down, and that's exactly what happened. So yeah, I cried at that first scene, and it really got me. But on the whole, Hawkeye, they done a great job with him, and I think a lot of props to Anthony Russo, Joe Russo, Christopher Marcus, and Stephen McPhee, because they really made his character feel whole, and they really made him feel relatable as well. Which now leads me to that almighty plot twist in the first act, where Thanos, the Avengers, they get the drop on Thanos, they know where he is. Captain Marvel's now joined the party. And then I also liked the dynamic in the very beginning when, there was this sense of desperation to finally to undo the snap. And Captain Marvel busts through, and, she's kind of like, I can do it like this. I can just go there and beat the shit out of him. But at the same time, the Avengers, this is the first time she's been with the Avengers as well. She's kind of saying, look, you need to be a little bit more level-headed. You can't go in gun-ho and whatnot, because, she's kind of got that fiery attitude about her in Captain Marvel as well, where she wants to do good straight away without any level-headed thinking. And I think it will play more. I'm hoping it plays more into our character when we come around to her second film, when we see her a little bit more headstrong. So yeah, they find him. Captain Marvel puts him in the chokehold. Hulkbuster's there, War Machine's holding him back, and then before you know it, Thor just brings out Stormbreaker and just off with Thanos' head. And then at that moment in time, my jaw was in my popcorn, people's jaws were on the ground, and at that moment, we just did not know what the hell was going to happen in this film. And yeah, great twist. We would that was the way of the filmmaker, just kicking us in the nuts and making us just deal with it. You know, in that very moment, and I think we just all felt as vulnerable as the Avengers in that moment. You know, where do we go on from here? You know, how do we move on? So what you know that then leads me now to talk about Ant-Man. And with Ant-Man, I've never really liked. I don't know. I think it's the way he's come across, the way that he's been directed and written. You know, he's always been this guy that's always quipping, he's always making jokes, and he in the first Ant-Man, they were onto something good with him being a criminal that made him flawed. But after that point, I think the jokes repeatedly, it just for me became a bit whimsical, and then at that point, he becomes a character that has nothing new to him. But I like that in this film, there was that sense of desperation for him to find his family and to find his daughter. That made him flawed. That actually made him, for once, actually worry about something, I mean, in Ant-Man and the Wasp, okay, there is that desperation to get there, but there isn't that emotional pull there as we get with Endgame. And he finds his daughter and everything's cool. And I really enjoyed the dialogue between Tony Stark and Ant-Man. Ant-Man's a character where he has his daughter, he has certain things, but yet he's still willing to go back in time to undo the snap. Whereas Tony's very much being the douchebag, of the Josh Whedon days when he was in the first two Avengers film. And he's like, no, well, I've got what I want. And you know what? When I tried to get all of you guys together, you guys didn't want to help, basically. You turned a blind eye. And, we failed once. I'm not willing to fail again because I don't know what the repercussions are if we fail again. In some retrospect, you can understand why Tony's kind of downplaying this, because he has a kid now, he has a daughter, and that was a good revelation. But yeah, I love the dialogue between them because it shows how we got that fire and ice concept with their personas, and I really enjoyed it. And that reveal with Tony walking around the woods, I thought he was calling for his dog, because they got that playpen there, and they got the way it was designed and the way it was shot. I thought a dog was going to come out, but no, it was Morgan, little Morgan Stark, who walks out, and it's revealed that Tony now has a daughter, and that adds another thing as well, because with that decision, because I'm going to give Tony near the end of this spoiler talk a little bit more time to talk about, because I think he's a great character, one of the best characters in the MCU without a shadow of a doubt. But what's great about this film, there are going to be people that, let's just say it, they will catch on to the hype of Endgame and they will just go see it without giving any previous attention to the other 21 films that happened before. Hell, they wouldn't even watch Infinity War. But if they hear, how some people, they hear how good this film is and they go and they watch it. But this is where I think the filmmakers, where they earn their dues, and this is where they earn their stripes, because what happens is, in that very moment, they create empathy with the audience, and they show that Tony has a daughter, he has responsibilities, and that he now loves something other than Pepper. So he's got all these convenient thresholds in his life that are working for him. And like I'm just saying now, you wouldn't need to watch all the other films to have a emotional moment in this film where the film's going to make you cry, because obviously we know that he makes a sacrifice to do the snap which leaves him severely burned and half his body. I mean, that scene. Sorry, I'm speechless now. That scene destroyed me, man. That was my childhood hero that I saw go on screen, and I was a friggin' mess. I've never been so. I mean, I thought I cried a lot watching Logan, but in that moment, I lost my shit. Like for about 2 to 5 minutes, it was just torrential crying coming out through my 3D glasses, through my IMAX 3D glasses. So, but yeah, I loved that whole Ant-Man, and then seeing the parallel between. But we'll get to, because I think Tony deserves his own little segment. But anyway, moving on. Let's talk about, okay, Professor Hulk. A lot of people feel like as if with Professor Hulk that he had been retconned in this, and that, you know, a lot of fans are used to seeing, you know, the version of the Incredible Hulk that came into 2008. And I think a lot of fans, that's a very underrated film in my opinion as well. And it doesn't get as much recognition with all the other MCU films, because obviously they had to change over actor, then Mark Ruffalo replaced Edward Norton. But I think where the problem is, where some fans have it, and do you know what? When I was first watching the film, I never had this problem watching it, because what then happens is you start looking at other people, what they had to say and this and that. But it did dawn on me just slightly, and these were things that I was thinking as well. But I think what could have added a little bit to the Hulk, and here's the thing, the Hulk is a co-star in this film. The film is not really, I don't see this film really about the Hulk. I see this film about Tony and Cap, their journey. I mean, the most amount of runtime is with those two characters. That Tony has 1 hour and 2 minutes, and Cap has 1 hour and 6 minutes. It's about those two characters. I think everyone else that exists in this story is just kind of a co-character existing in this world, in my opinion. So with the Hulk, I like the fact they made him likable, and he was cracking jokes through the whole dying scene. I loved it. They made him likable. And I love the scene with him, which then leads him to then meet Thor, and he's just a mess. And I like how Hulk was trying to help him, you know, try to get him out of that dark spot. And it was the same parallel that we've seen in Thor Ragnarok, with Thor helping with Bruce, you know. And it almost felt like as if in Endgame, not Mark Ruffalo, but Bruce Banner was returning the favour to help Thor. And in that moment, I was like, yo, like, they've got a cool relationship, you know, between, even even with the story between them, they've fought each other every now and then, but now I feel like as if they've really got now this strong bromance with each other, especially now that Hulk is Professor Hulk now. But yeah, like people just felt like as if, I think what people wanted to see a merge. They want to see Bruce Banner and the Hulk merge to come Professor Hulk. That's what we wanted. Even if it was a 1 minute scene, similar to Thor Ragnarok, where when Hulk sees Black Widow on the screen, you have these two perpendicular personalities flying out for who controls the light in a sense, because Bruce Banner, I think he has that respect for the Avengers, but Hulk, you know, where everything that happened in Age of Ultron, he sees himself as an outcast, and that's where you get that to and fro Jekyll and Hyde relationship, you know. And I think that would have been cool to see them have that fight again, that internal fight, and then so you have that scene of them fighting out, even if it's like in a bunch of bushes somewhere, you don't really see what happens, and then you see the dining scene, and you know what I mean? Like, I think the audience would have caught the gist that, oh, that's what that scene meant, and now he's this, you know? And a lot of people wanted to see the throwdown scene, the rematch between Hulk and Thanos. And I wanted to see it as well, but you know what? When I was actually watching the film, it completely went out of my head. Honestly, I just forgot that was going to be a returning factor. I remember saying to my friends before the film, I want to see the rematch with Thanos and Hulk. and I obviously want to see Hulk. Do you know what I thought they were going to do? I'm kind of disappointed in the way that they didn't do it. I thought that they would do the comedic thing of Hulk grabbing Thanos by the leg and just slamming him left to right. I think that would have been awesome to see. I think that would have only just perpetuated everything to a higher level with Endgame. But I feel like as if the reason why we didn't get that moment, I feel as if that moment was sacrificed for Scarlet Witch. Because as we all know, she's getting her own TV show in the future on Disney Plus with Vision. And I think what the executive producers wanted to do, they wanted to imply in our head, like, okay, yeah, here's this character. Do you remember in Infinity War when Thanos killed her boyfriend, Vision? Okay, look, she's here now to get her redemption and kick the shit out of Thanos. And so I think the executive producers understand there's more money involved with Scarlet Witch's character going down in the future. It's sad when you really think of it, because you just think to yourself, do the fans right by Justice, But again, it was only something that I thought of maybe a day later, why it happened, or why did it play out that way, because the executives wanted to give Scarlet that moment where she nearly rips Thanos into half, and that's just the way. Hulk, he still exists within the universe of the MCU, and by the looks of it, he's now in charge of the quantum realm, and who knows, we might see a dynamic now between Ant-Man and the Hulk with the quantum realm. I don't know, but nonetheless, I loved the scene with him with the gauntlet. That was brilliant. I friggin' loved it. And here's the thing as well, when he done the snap, half his body was just mash up. So would it, and plus with the ideology that Hulk's body is made out of gamma rays, meaning that he is the one that can take the snap, which it makes sense for him to do. So it would be beyond our belief that Hulk can take the 6 Infinity Stones and then fight Thanos. And I think even then, if that had happened, I think there would have been people then still debating that. Like, how strong is he? You see what I'm saying? But anyway, look, I think the Hulk was great anyway. Moving on. Okay, Fat 4. Personally, I think it was a great idea. I loved because it gave the character somewhere to go, because ultimately, so Thor goes for the head. But here's the thing, him killing Thanos it didn't change anything, because Thanos had won. He had succeeded in his quest by bringing balance to the universe. So what did he do? He felt sorry for himself. He felt survivor's guilt, and what was he gonna do? Where does his character actually go? And a lot of people are saying, they ruined Thor, they made him fat. Do you know what? If anything, they've improved him, because if he looks now similar to his great grandfather Bor, who was the original wielder of Mjolnir, and with that character, he didn't have 6-pack abs, and he didn't have muscles coming out of his neck and huge bicep and triceps. No, he didn't have any of that. He was just a big bloke, who could summon the power of Mjolnir and kick the shit out of everyone. And I loved how he looked like that representation of Bor. He looked like he was morphing into him. So for me, I didn't find it a problem, So, and it made him funny as well, because he's now wallowing in his sorrow, and his interactions with the Avengers when he gets to the headquarters is friggin' hilarious. I mean, the whole scene where he's in the corner, where I think Tony and Cap are trying to give the debrief on what the missions are, and he's in the corner sleeping like the Big Lebowski. I thought it was hilarious. So yeah, no problems there. And oh man, Oh man, when he summoned Mjolnir and then he summoned Stormbreaker, I thought I need done 5 backflips out of my seat. I'm telling you now because I thought it was a wrap. I thought that Thanos was gonna get bodied. Like when he done that, oh man, the whole theater erupted. Like oh shit, it's going down. Oh man. So moving now into the quantum realm sequences. Now with this as well, like I did have my problems here because I felt as if these scenes could have been retconned in, because you don't want to undo all the great work that all the other directors and writers done with all the previous films, with the Winter Soldier, I don't know, all the Avengers, um, Age of Ultron. You don't want to undo the success of those films and how they're done. Like throw in another fight scene that turns out this way, or I just didn't want to do that because I knew that in the long run, I knew fans were going to get the footage and get this footage, and then they were going to speculate. Oh, is this good, or this is this better than this? I didn't want that to happen. But what I liked is that they slightly altered the scenes. I absolutely love when Cap is in the elevator and he's like, "Hell Hydra," and that mixed race exec is like, "Okay, yeah, just pass him the suitcase because he's in on us, guys," and and then that scene is then moves on, and you get that whole fight between Cap and Cap. That was brilliant. It looked very similar to the fight in Age of Ultron, with the way that it was shot and directed. But again, great scene. America's ass, loved it. Well, America's ass. But yeah, that was all very juicy. Now this now leads me to Vormir, Hawkeye, and Black Widow. When Red Skull was like, to take the stone, you must lose that which you love. Oh man, I started getting PTSD from Infinity War. I was like, here we go again. We're gonna lose another character. When he just started talking, I was like, this red sunburnt lobster. Like honestly, like, and it dawned on me, man. Like honestly, and then obviously you have Black Widow querying with Hawkeye who's gonna jump, and then I thought Hawkeye was gonna do it. I thought Hawkeye was gonna do it, and then the way they directed it, when one thing explodes and then one jumps, like, oh man, it was brilliant. And then Hawkeye goes over, Black Widow's like no, and then man, I loved how they made the cinematography. Because when Black Widow goes to see Hawkeye for the first time, they make a thing of the holding of the hands in Tokyo, and then they do the same shot, the same mid-range shot of them holding hands when then Black Widow falls off. I thought that was good. I thought that in itself told the story between Black Widow and Hawkeye, because they always had that physical banter with each other, and I think they always loved each other as well. Not in a relationship kind of way, but I think they always had that respect for each other. And a lot of people felt like as if after that certain scene that her character wasn't done justice, because it was almost a thing of like, okay, she died, but I loved the moment with Hawkeye. I can't remember who he was talking to, but he was saying, why don't you go down to Vormir and you trade in, you go see the Red Skull man, you go see that ghost. I loved it. I mean, I think the way that Jeremy Renner handled that scene was brilliant, as with his acting ability. But yeah, so yeah, a lot of people felt like as if Black Widow wasn't given as much respect as Tony, because when it came to Tony, he had that whole service with the flowers and everything, but it was with Black Widow that they felt like as if it was kind of like there's no time to mourn her death. And I think a lot of loyal fans that have been following that character just felt like as if she didn't mean anything then. But I think with the direction of the story, I think there was just such an amount of desperation to bring everyone back that it almost felt like as if in the story there wasn't any time to mourn her death, because I think all the Avengers were just so hell bent on getting the mission done. Um, so that's why there wasn't. I mean, we know that with Black Widow that she's come from a broken background with all of her flashback scenes in Age of Ultron. We know that she's been experimented on, and we also get that scene between Black Widow and Cap at the very beginning after the AA meeting, the group therapy session, where before I met the Avengers, I didn't have anything. You know, I think it would have been. I think with Kevin Feige, with the whole schedule, I think it would have made a lot more sense if we got a Black Widow film in the beginning of this year in February, and then we got Avengers Endgame, and then we got Captain Marvel. You know, to start off the cosmic, the new cosmic saga, or the new Annihilation saga. I don't know what they're going to call it. And I think that would have been more beneficial, because with Captain Marvel in this film, she doesn't really have a significant role. I mean, yeah, she comes in and she beats up Thanos a couple of times, but she's not really the gel that sticks with the Avengers at the moment. And I think it would have been perfectly fine for that film to come in the future, you know. But yeah, I mean, look, I still don't have a major problem with Black Widow's character. I still don't, because I think there will, because for those of you that don't know, there will be a Black Widow film coming next year. So, and they're filming it right now as we speak. So I think we're gonna have to kind of, for our own imaginations, you know, just think, where is that going to be put within the MCU timeline? Because it's always going to be put somewhere long before Endgame and long before maybe the first Avenger, or not the first Avenger, but the first Avengers film.